It was the 80s in Spain, during one of the harshest winters the country had ever seen. Weeks went by and the heavy rain produced more and more frequent floods. The people were sick of getting up in the morning unsure if their house would be destroyed by a flood that day. And that wasn't the worst part. For no apparent reason, the number of babies dying in the country increased to alarming levels. Some parents blamed the weather, saying that it was making the babies sick. Meanwhile, others declared having witnessed paranormal incidents on the nights before each death. The point is that they had to find a way to solve this situation, but the issue was figuring out how. Between the weather and the huge quantity of infants dying, the population entered a terrible social crisis. Psychologists and psychiatrists were overwhelmed despite how difficult it was to get in a car and drive under such weather. The symptoms that the little ones would get before passing away were always the same. First, they would suddenly stop crying completely. Then they would no longer feel sleepy and would spend all nights awake, although making no sounds. And shortly after, they would get an intense fever which would end up taking their lives. Sophia was one of the people interested in learning what exactly was causing all of those deaths. She was a scientist, so it was ingrained in her to always look for solutions to any given problem. And besides, she was also pregnant, and since she would soon give birth, Sophia feared for the life of her baby. Sophia was so obsessed that she spent weeks studying the symptoms, talking with many experts and reading theories in journals and newspapers. However, she couldn't find a coherent answer, and as the birth of her baby approached, the more her fear increased. The day finally came, and Spain was being hit with one of the worst storms the country had ever seen. Sophia was laying on a hospital bed while the medical staff cleaned her baby. The wait felt eternal, but when she finally had her son in her arms, she felt immense joy. Sophia and her husband decided to name their son Jesus. The medical staff then went out of the room to give the family a moment of privacy. However, the newborn suddenly started crying. In that moment, a disturbing sound was heard behind the window. Scared, Sophia and her husband looked to the window. At first, they thought that maybe something carried by the wind just hit the window. But instead, they saw on it a mark which wasn't there before, 5 long scratches. They seemed to have been made by a humanoid hand. They alerted the hospital staff, but nobody could understand how that happened. They were on the 5th floor, so it was impossible that a person did that. Sophia and her husband slept in that hospital room, and the next day, when the storm subdued, they returned home. Sophia was very worried for her son, so she not only placed his crib next to her bed, but also placed a radio monitor next to him, so she could always hear whenever he needed something. However, Jesus was eerily calm. He wasn't making a single sound. Sophia was really worried and kept mulling over what happened at the hospital, knowing that not crying was the first symptom of that strange illness. She decided to grab a pair of scissors and put them in her pocket just in case anything weird happened. Nightfall came and Sophia stayed alone with the baby since her husband was working. And when she was sleeping, she was jolted awake by her son crying. She got up and couldn't help letting out a sigh of relief knowing that her son didn't have that strange illness. However, she also noticed how something was moving behind her. She then felt how a pointy object grazed the back of her neck and how a creepy voice told her in her ear, "First, I will steal his crying, then I will steal his sleep. And finally, the fever will take care of the rest." Sophia grabbed the scissors from her pocket, opened them making a cross shape, and quickly turned around to attack whatever was behind her. But nobody was there anymore. Then Sophia suddenly heard laughter, which was immediately cut short. Only lasted a second, almost imperceptible. She looked to the ceiling and saw the face of a pale woman with yellow eyes, extremely long nails, and a diabolic smile. "Who are you? What do you want with my son?" asked Sophia. The strange and demonic woman stayed there looking directly at Sophia without moving nor making a sound. Her yellow eyes were fixated on the mother for 30 seconds, which felt like an eternity. The strange woman then let out a longer laugh and disappeared. Sophia was completely shocked and horrified. She couldn't sleep and spent the entire night waiting for her husband to come back and tell him what happened. However, when she finally told him, he seemed to not believe her. He told her that she probably just had a nightmare and was too tired from giving birth. Sophia felt indignant. What she experienced had been real. She ended up convincing her husband to install high-grade security cameras around the house with microphones, infrared systems, and excellent video quality. And even though the couple spent a lot of money on this technology, which was very advanced at the time, at least Sophia felt that Jesus was safe. They installed 5 cameras, one at the entrance of the house, another one in the hallway, 2 at the balcony, and finally, one in the room where the mother and her son slept. The next night, a huge storm broke out, and when midnight came, a loud thunder woke the baby up, who started to cry in fear. Sophia got up to rock him in her arms and sing him a lullaby to try to calm him down. While she was singing, she was also very alert, still scared from the previous night. And that's when she saw something moving behind the window. She tried to not give it importance, thinking it was just a storm, and kept rocking Jesus until he stopped crying. Sophia left Jesus in his crib and, just in case, checked everything again. She looked out the window again and saw those horrible yellow eyes once again fixated on her. The window slowly opened and the demonic woman went into the room. Sophia quickly grabbed Jesus with one arm and brandished the scissors with the other. That demonic being with yellow eyes cornered Sophia while threatening her with her long and sharp knife-like nails. Trying to defend her son, Sophia closed her eyes and thrust her scissors towards the demonic woman. She felt how she stabbed something and how warm blood started to cover her hand. However, she then heard her son cry and the demonic woman started laughing again. When Sophia opened her eyes, she realized she had just stabbed her son. She couldn't understand how could that happen. She was sure that demonic woman was in front of her, but there was no sign of her anymore. Sophia called the police and an ambulance, but they could not save Jesus, and she was apprehended after the police heard her testimony. In the trial, they played that night's recording from the room security camera. And all they saw was Sophia stabbing her own son. She couldn't believe that the camera didn't register the demonic woman with yellow eyes, neither her image nor her laughter. The judge decided to intern Sophia in a mental hospital after being evaluated by several psychiatrists. However, the amount of infants dying in the country kept increasing. And every day, more and more mothers claim to have experienced paranormal incidents before the death of their children, just after hearing them cry at night. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. And if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode!